Hi, I'm Ken Harvey, one of the co-founders of the Insights into Development project. When Kristen Williams, a Peace Corps worker, came to me 10 years ago to ask me to help her with this project, I think there's two things that came out of our discussion that were really important. First off, she came to me wanting to prepare a book, and so the conference was actually set up to draw together people who had already agreed to write chapters for this book. Her rationale was that she felt like many of the international donors were not paying enough attention to the local NGO leaders and workers. She felt like the people in the front lines frequently knew more what was going on than the international donors in New York or Washington, D.C. or wherever they might have been. And so she thought a book written by the people on the front lines might help the international donors to understand why they needed to pay more attention to those on the ground, so to speak. The other thing that we discussed was how to proceed. And perhaps my best contribution to the Insights project was that I told her that while I had a publishing and editing background, I was not going to support the project unless she agreed to one major understanding that we were not going to do this for 1 year only. Maybe she would, because her term as a Peace Corps worker was coming to an end, and at that same time America was pulling out its Peace Corps workers. But she agreed that we should proceed and try to find allies, such as Argo, who could help perpetuate this project indefinitely into the future. So with that agreement, we went out and we did find allies such as Argo, and we set up that first conference at KIMEP University. Now, the other important thing that, of course, as I was saying, we wanted to create a book, and we wanted that book to reflect the best practices of NGOs. We wanted to, again, help them to learn how to express themselves better, how to tell their story better, so that they could be more effective in pursuing grants, in participating in evaluations of the projects that they were undertaking, and again, in influencing the donors and helping them to understand what obstacles they were facing and what obstacles and what challenges they were overcoming on the ground, on site. Well, as I welcome you to this conference, I've been asked to maybe discuss a little bit about how, go back to that original understanding, that original goal, and maybe talk about how you can participate in the book part of the project more effectively. And so I've prepared a PowerPoint to help discuss that in a very quick fashion. In one of the previous books, I co-authored a story called A Loving Home for Every Child. I co-authored it with one of our master's students at KIMEP University. She's a good writer. My background is as a journalist, as a newspaper editor and reporter for many years. And so I look at things a little bit differently than even most academics. I look at how to tell a story more effectively in appealing to the reader, because that's what a journalist has to do. We're competing for people's attention. So this was the original paragraph that my co-author wrote. A family is an integral unit of society. It is not possible to diminish its role. No nation, no civilized society can live without a family institution. A definition of happiness for almost every person includes a family. A person is happy when he is in or with family. The state of a family is not only the indicator of present condition of society, but the indicator of the future. Children are central figures of a family. Undoubtedly, emotional and physical well-being of children, decent childhood, and formation of responsible citizens of a country are guaranteed only within family environment. Now that's a nice essay, but it's not necessarily, if a person starts reading this and they're a little bit tired, it may be too serious for them. It's for a professor, this is a good essay, but it's not very journalistic. So let me teach you a few key concepts of journalism to help you understand how to turn a story like this into something a little bit more appealing. So as I started looking through her notes and through her story, I realized that at least I felt like she had buried what I would call the whammy, the thing that was of greatest interest. A direct quote gives more personality, more emotion, and helps tell the story more effectively. And so I found this direct quote, and I ended up making this the lead. So I replaced her essay-oriented lead with this lead. I think that parents are not those who conceived and gave birth to us, but those who raised you and helped you to become a decent person in society, who support you all life long, says Aliyah Akhmetova, a young person raised at SOS Children's Village, Almaty. This is what our SOS mother does. She helped, helps, and will help us always. We are thankful to her for that. I resided in a nice village for 15 years. These were the most precious moments of my life, which I'll never forget. You help us to become a person with a big heart. Well, that was, I felt like, was a more powerful way to begin the story. Going on, however, we want to now take it from here to the next step. So now we have the sentiment, the emotion, the feeling of one person who went through this program. And so now we can extrapolate, what we say extrapolate. So now we have the one person's story. What does this mean for this whole organization, or what it does? And so let me go again with Russian next to the English. We extrapolate from one to the many. So now we start getting into statistics or numbers, which if we had started with these would be kind of boring also. Statistics and numbers can be boring. But now we know what one person felt about her experience at this orphanage, and now we can extrapolate and see that this organization had an impact on far more than this one young lady. At present, the total number of children covered by SOS care come to 462. The number of self-sufficient young people leaving care of SOS is 47, of which 30 have already successfully created their families. 160 young people have made a decision on their future profession, gotten into or are in the process of obtaining vocational or higher education. So again, with numbers and statistics, those can be kind of dry. But once we meet one of these people and we hear her story, now we can see these numbers mean more to us. Now we could go perhaps and come back again into the individuals again. So we went from one individual, her feeling, her emotion, her ideas of this program, now to the numbers, 462, and so forth. But now we can go into some more examples. 3 young people of SOS Children's Village, Kazakhstan, thanks to their talent and abilities, have won scholarships and study abroad opportunities. And it goes into the detail. I'm not going to read all of this, but what I'm trying to help you understand is that is how to tell your story more effectively. Another thing to help you tell your story more effectively are good photos. This is a very pleasing photo for a few people, like these 3 people and their families. It doesn't have a lot of journalistic appeal. But a photo like this, again, lots of small heads. You can't see anybody's emotions or anything. So you know there was a meeting, there were lots of people in the meeting. You don't know much more than that. Also, not a lot of journalistic appeal. As they're sharing their emotion, you can capture that emotion in their face. So try to get photos that do show action, show emotion, show personality, not just somebody smiling at a camera. If somebody smiling at the camera is a nice family photo, it is not a good journalistic photo. Here's a photo, another group photo. Again, long distance, you really can't see much in the speaker's face or anything, so there's not much emotion, not much going on. Maybe get a little closer, like that. Now, a lot of the other people, they're still kind of far away, and you can't see a lot in their faces, but at least you have one face, the speaker's face, that you can see more detail on. And so you have a little bit more personality, a little bit more emotion in this photo. And you have a clear center focus in the photo. Even better might be a photo like this. not necessarily a person speaking, but they're obviously interested. They're listening intently. They're thinking. You can tell that they're thinking hard about whatever is being spoken. Here's a nice photo of the orphanage. It's nice. It shows love. It shows caring. And I'm not saying this is a bad photo to use, but again, journalistically, we would look more at things like this. Somebody working with one of the children at the orphanage. The orphans, the kids themselves, doing some activity, in this case, painting. Or this one where they're just kind of playing and having fun. Yes, they're looking at the camera, but they're obviously not a direct pose. They're being kind of caught in the moment as they're doing something fun. Those photos are journalistically more interesting and will appeal more to the reader. I will be offering a workshop tomorrow on how to market yourself, how to tell your story better. And I hope some of you will come and participate in that workshop. Meanwhile, have a great conference, and I wish you the very best of everything.